Last month, Sri Lanka had received an offer from China. It involved macaque monkeys, and no small number, by the way, 100,000 of them. A privately owned Chinese company was seeking to import 100,000 of these monkeys from Sri Lanka. The island nation has put that deal on halt now after a lot of protests and backlash from activists. So what really is the story here? Let's break it down for you bit by bit. First, let me tell you more about these monkeys. The Thok macaque monkeys are an endangered species. They are on the red list, in fact, of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or the IUCN. Sri Lanka is their natural habitat. They are endemic to the island nation, which means that they are not found anywhere else in the world. But the cash-strapped country has been desperate. It says the monkeys are a menace to the farmers, that they cause a lot of crop damage. And it had decided to go forward with the export. And this move had sent alarm bells ringing among environmentalists and animal rights activists. They started protesting against the deal. What were their concerns? You see, it's China that we are talking about. The monkeys were meant to be kept in zoos, but can we really be sure about that? The activists basically feared that the creatures could meet a terrible fate. Who knows if they would end up in Chinese testing labs, or even worse, in restaurants. Or even if they would be put in zoos or wildlife parks. China is infamous for cruelty and disregard towards animal rights. And I'm not the one who's saying that. I have evidence. Have a look at this report. It carries details of a lot of such instances. A donkey was thrown into a tiger enclosure to be eaten alive. A brown bear was so malnourished that it looked like a bag of bones. A crocodile lived alongside piles of rubbish in a dried-up pond. Tigers are so obese that they are mocked by the visitors. These are the sights you would see in Chinese zoological parks. Legislation and oversight is rare. Most privately owned zoos, in fact, escape legal responsibilities, and many are poorly funded and lack the resources to sustain all their animals. So in these conditions, what would China be doing with 100,000 monkeys? And is it too far-fetched to speculate that they would be ending up in laboratories? China has conducted obscenely unethical experiments on monkeys. They can be amounted to outright animal torture. Have a look at this study. It details how stress produces depression in monkeys. The research, in fact, was conducted at Chongqing Medical University in China. The study mentions the experiments that were carried out on the monkeys, and you may find them disturbing. They were designed to induce depression in adolescent macaques. The monkeys were exposed to atrocities, including inescapable foot shocks, food and water deprivation, space restriction, flashing strobe lights, shrill noises, cold water shocks, and social isolation. Have a look at this report. It mentions how Chinese scientists created something called pig monkeys. These hybrid creatures contained pig and monkey DNA, and they died within a week of being born. Just think about it. To make an organism that will only suffer an agonizing death, how is that even justified? And these are just a few examples, by the way. A lot worse is going on in Chinese labs. But the question is Sri Lanka not aware of all this? The country bans almost all live animal exports. The proposed sale would be going against the country's conservation efforts. Though the exports have been halted, why did the country agree to hand over its endangered monkeys to China to begin with? As I said, these are desperate times for Sri Lanka, to say the least. It has one of the highest inflation rates in Asia. By the end of the year, Sri Lanka owed some $4.1 billion to China. And this accounted for nearly 11% of its foreign currency debt. The Chinese government agreed to restructure this loan, giving some relief to Sri Lanka. And Colombo is now exploring new avenues to generate income. The proposed exports of monkeys to China was one of them. It has also removed several species from its protected list this year, and this includes all 3 of its monkey species as well as peacocks and wild boars, and this has allowed the farmers to kill them without legal repercussions. But then again, is this really justified? China already has reputation for animal cruelty. It is a country that serves monkeys on platters in restaurants, and who can say what a private Chinese firm would do with 100,000 endangered monkeys? WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.